appreciate you all joining today. My name is Scott Harder. I am the Senior Customer Success Engineer here. I like to shorten that by saying I'm Account Management. This is our very first webinar that we are presenting on. This should hopefully be one of many to come. So thank you again for joining us today. And the kind of main points of topics I'm going to touch on is mostly fleet efficiency. Just for now, this is what I'm going to focus on for this presentation, go through some of the new features that we have. So right now, just a summary of the topics, some of the new recently added features into the system. So I'll go over Trails function and our maintenance program. I'll touch on a few different reports, the one most important being idling, but then a couple others, vehicle use and driver summary. I will then touch on our alerts, mainly with maintenance, and then the top questions that we have on a couple other alerts that we do have. And then I have a misprint there, so I do apologize. The last thing was going to be new features in the works. So the grow by retention, I do apologize. That should not be in there. That is my fault. But without further ado, just a little background on myself. I have 11 years in the telematics industry. I came from one of the top privately held GPS providers within North America. I was the technical support supervisor there, and I mainly focused on account analysis. So I helped a lot with the enterprise accounts, anywhere between 50 vehicles, 100 vehicles plus. And a lot of my focus actually was focused on hours of service and electronic logging. So hopefully when I go through all this, if there's anything that is unclear, please let me know. Obviously, throw your questions or comments into the chat. Again, I want to be very conscious of your time, so I'm going to touch on a lot of things very quickly as I want to get through this and make sure that you all have a great understanding at the end. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in on the new features. So right now, the very first thing in new features was actually our Trails functionality. This went in just very recently. Most of you who have seen in the past, we did not have the ability to actually see a full day's worth of history. We do now have that functionality. So to see that functionality, when you are logged into your main dashboard here, with the pins that are moving, you can either do for any vehicle that you would like. In this instance, I'm going to take our 24-hour van right here. So you're going to click on this. It'll give you the pop-up. From the pop-up, you'll see this little Trails hyperlink that you can actually click on, and this is going to bring you to the Trails feature. So this now is going to give you a full visual representation of what the vehicle has currently done throughout that day. It's going to stitch every single trip. So this is obviously something that we have been working on. We're very proud of. This will help fleet managers in general be able to go back throughout the day, look at their vehicles, and see where they have gone throughout the entire day. Along with the Trails feature, you can get a little bit more granular information. So each trip, much like you have seen in the details page for the vehicle, you can actually click on each trip separately. It will show you said trip. And as you can see at the bottom here, which is also represented on the map, are the different violations that we have recorded. So as you can see, rapid accelerations, harsh braking, idling, and minutes over the posted speed limit. If you click on them, it will actually highlight in red at those specific spots, and vice versa. Obviously, with the speeding as well, it is representation in red. For those speeding violations, you can get actually even more granular information by over highlighting the actual point. You can click on them. It's going to give you a little bit more better information for that.
Hey,
So
Scott, if you don't mind, I'm sorry to pause you. I think we can't see the column when you click on the right-hand column, so maybe the width is too wide. So you have a column that you're clicking on, yeah?
Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's better for me.
Is anyone else having that issue?
Maybe it's just a width of the screen issue. Sorry about that. I don't want to cut you off. Please keep going.
No,
Yeah, I can't.
I want to make sure everyone's seeing it properly. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
you
was
letting me
having
know.
the same issue, but you look good now.
Okay, perfect. I'll make sure not to do anything more on that. I do have an oversized screen, so I do apologize. But thank you for speaking up, Dev. I do appreciate it. So just to go back, as I was talking about for the overview of the screen, the column, as you see on the right-hand side, that does bring you into the trails feature function. So within up here, you can select the specific days that you would like. If you have specific vehicles, you can click on the vehicles. This is where I was talking about. So when actually clicking on said vehicle, it brings you down into the actual trails function. This is what I was talking about with clicking on the absolute said trips. So down here at the bottom, you can see you can click on the 4 specific different violations: rapid acceleration, harsh braking, minutes over the speed limit, any idling. This is then highlighted, obviously on the map, black dots. I'm not trying to repeat myself, but wanted to make sure everyone is fully aware. So just this function alone is something that is very good for fleet managers, dispatchers, understanding, if you have a problem, someone calls in, you have a better way of going back and seeing what each vehicle has done for any part of that day. Does anyone have any questions? Obviously, you can throw that in the chat, or you can definitely keep them, write them down at the end. You can definitely email me, but I just wanted to run through the trails function at this point in time. Perfect. So the next new feature that we recently added was actually our maintenance program. As some of you are well aware, maintenance program was very static. So to get to the new maintenance program, you can actually, on your left-hand side, when you are in the actual account logged in, you can go to services and click on the maintenance function. This will give you the summary overview of the maintenance side. So right now, what you see is what you were most of the time had to go through the vehicles page, go through the actual details to get to the maintenance side. But in this aspect, you can actually add more information. So how that would look is we're going to take Nick's F-150 here. This is defaulted to a 5,000 mile unit interval. So this can be changed at any point in time with how you would like. So for instance, if you want to keep it at 5,000 miles, you can do an oil change every 5,000. That's great. You can then change it if you want at that said point. Maybe you want to do a tire rotation in 2,500. So to do so, you can actually click on said vehicle from there, and this is going to give you a little bit more granular detail. So what's great about this is we give you the ability to actually add receipts. Though we don't have anything in here right now for Nick's F-150, how that would look, you can just go to add receipt. If you have a receipt already on your desktop, you can drag and drop, you can upload from a file, but more specifically, the service type you can then add. So this becomes now reportable in the future. With running one of our reports, you can actually look at, hey, different oil changes, tire rotations, anything like that. Obviously, if you had it done with a third party, you can add the merchant, you can add the actually mileage at that service was performed, and if there was any costs associated. Again, prior to this, we did not have this ability. It was very static. We just gave a typical OEM standard of when services should be made. This actually now gives you the manual ability to add that in to take more control over your service and your maintenance. So something we're really proud about. We want to see this. Obviously, I can help you all with this moving forward. Our team can. If you run into any issues, we definitely want to help. Just to touch on where to change the service interval is going to be right over here. I can click on edit. So say I want to get alerted in 2,500 miles. So I'm going to look at not 25,000, but 2,500. I can go ahead and save that. That's going to automatically update. What I will touch on here a little bit after is the alerts side. I know I'm going to jump into the reports, and I will definitely touch base on that. And I see Deanna has a great question here. Will it alert us and or email us when the oil changes due? So yes, right now it will alert you. So if we go back to the dashboard, right now we have the alerts actually when you are logged in. So as you can see, we've got a vehicle due. We can look at details when you do get logged in. As for the emails, we do not have email functionality yet. We are actually working on, which is what I have in to come at the end of the presentation. We are working on actually getting a maintenance alerts out. So this will go out not just as a push notification, but we are hoping that as an SMS alert notification, as I've been told from our product manager, that it should go out. And I can definitely help, and we can look into if we've got some odometer issues not changing. So please, by all means, get with me after or shoot me an email. We can set up a one-on-one. I'll be happy to go through with all of that for you. So just back to the dashboard, just to kind of keep back on, the progress of what we're going for. Again, just being conscious of your time. I just want to touch on the main reports to help with actual fleet efficiency. So the reports I'm going to touch on, the very first one is going to be our idling report. So how to get to that is just go to the reports. I can go to our idling section. Now do keep this in mind that up at the top, this is going to report on your fleet groups if you have any specific fleet groups that you have made within the system. So just be cognizant of that. But I'll keep with the install crew. I'm going to click on here, idling. This is going to give a lot of detail in regards to our idling program. So the idling report, this is actually one of the very first things when I was brought on by Force by Mojio that I advise that we need to have. Not only does it help with monitoring your fleet, so obviously with the way gas prices have been, this is it's a really good way to keep track of your costs, help you with costs, but also as well as the double-sided aspect of trying to curb driver behavior. So in this aspect right here, we're looking at our 4 vehicles from our install crew. Just to run through this report very quickly, it does default by vehicle for the last 7 days. This can be changed. You can do 30, 90, or you can do a custom view. Custom view, you can set however many days, 10, 15, 20, 25. That's completely up to you how you would like that. However, I will want to make sure that you're aware it is and has to be consecutive days. So I can't just do Monday through Friday for 3 weeks. It has to be a consecutive 10 days or consecutive 15 days. So along with that, you get some really good overview information of obviously percentage time that we give you at the top, average miles per trip, longest idle time. And this can actually then be looked into granularly with each vehicle. We give you just the summary information, but for this specific vehicle, I'm just going to use Nick's F-150. I can click on that. It's going to give me a more detailed view of not only how many minutes a vehicle has been idling for, but also certain dates, times, and we give you the functionality to actually open that up into a Google Maps view so you can know exactly where that happened. So for instance, if you're wanting to know if a vehicle stopped at a certain location, they usually keep the vehicle on and running. This is a really good way to understand how long they've been there and this, at what point in time. So with this, I'll give you a quick view. Hopefully, let me know if you still can't see my screen, because I know I was sharing my screen. So let me know. But as you can see, if you are seeing my screen, it goes out into Google Maps. So I can then obviously use more of a 3D layer, but this is going to give you the actual view of where that high idle time happened. So just jumping back, the other 2 reports really for fleet efficiency that I personally like myself are actually going to be vehicle use and driver summary. That is if within your company you do use drivers, but to those, clicked that a little too fast here. So for vehicle use, the reason why I like vehicle use, this gives you a really good idea of how many vehicles are being utilized, but if they're being overutilized versus underutilized. So for me, how I look at this, whether it's 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, obviously you're going to be more well aware of your own fleet. So if there are specific vehicles that might have specific hardware on the truck, if they have a PTO, what that means is power takeoff, if you're not aware. So that's things to keep in mind. So, and you are going to be industry specific. Being from that, I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. Obviously, our summers are very hot. So a lot of vehicles, or I should say a lot of companies out here, are allowed to idle over, but also be used in a certain climate. So some are cold weather, some are hot weather. So definitely keep that in mind. But this is something that I personally like to use to kind of see what vehicles are used the most, and if there are any vehicles that aren't being used. To go along with this, the driver summary report, again, that is if you are using drivers. I know some of you might not be, but if you are using drivers and you are associating them with specific vehicles, this gives you a really good idea of what each driver has been doing, who's been necessarily driving more versus who hasn't been. And again, I am using this. It is going to be industry specific. So you do have to keep that in mind. Not everyone's going to be the same. There might be some jobs that are much farther away versus some jobs that are very close, depending upon who you send out. But again, this is going to give you a really good overview of who's working, how often they're working, but how far they're driving. Are they spending more time driving or spending more time on the job? So again, just with those reports, same thing, defaults to 7 days. You can do up to 30, 90, or custom, again, consecutive days. Again, with those reports, we're looking at total miles, average miles, how many miles they have been driven. So just in this report, as you can see, within 7 days, each vehicle has driven every single day. So this is getting a really good idea of who has utilized a vehicle and who has not. To keep going, so the last little bit I wanted to touch on here is the alert section. So to get to the alert section within the actual login of the dashboard, you're going to go up to the right to your profile. You're going to go down to preferences. This is going to take you into all of the preferences, all the alerts within your preferences. Right now, most of you actually won't see maintenance checked, and I believe there is one other. I believe it is vehicle speed. So the first thing I wanted to make very clear is the maintenance alert. So to actually get that on your account enabled, just click on edit, and you're going to obviously click this checkbox and then hit save. The reason why we didn't default this to on is when we added this into the system, we wanted to make sure our users weren't getting false alerts. So part of this is when I went over the maintenance section, which I can definitely help you, is make sure to set each vehicle up first, understand where their mileage is, where you want to get the next service interval, set those intervals up. Then once that is done with your fleet, then go ahead and turn this on. The last thing I would want is to turn that on, and next thing you know, you're getting 18, 20 different messages just to say, hey, alerts for your maintenance need to be added, and then you have to go back in. With this, the two biggest questions we usually receive in regards to alerts comes down to disturbance and vehicle speed limit. I'll start with vehicle speed limit. So what vehicle speed limit means is actually the top speed of the vehicle, not actual posted speed. I know there will be questions about posted speed limit information here in the future, but what I want to make sure very clear that it's if I don't want any one of my vehicles traveling over 75 miles per hour, as I see here, that's what you're going to be alerted on. So it's not actual posted speed of the actual vehicle in a specific section. We will have that in the future. That is part of our roadmap that we do want to have as part of a report. Clearly, we do already have that. As you may have noticed within the trails function dashboard, we do show posted speed infringements, but that will become obviously down the road. Probably the most biggest question we get for alerts is the disturbance alert. If you have not talked to me before, disturbance alert can be great in use, but could also become very annoying. I'll be completely honest with that. The reason why we don't have the customization for alerts yet. So it's an all or nothing feature. And a disturbance alert officially is any type of disturbance when the vehicle is off. So for instance, your vehicle's in a parking lot, gets bumped into by a vehicle. Guy's on a actual service call. If he opens and slams the door really hard, has to get into the tailgate. Anything that happens that there is a small gyroscometer on the actual device or inside the device, if it senses that motion or movement, it's going to trigger a disturbance alert. During the day, obviously working hours, you have 10 vehicles, 10 guys working, that can get very cumbersome. So there's two things I usually advise at this point is either A, you can turn it off completely, not worry about it. Even though I do think it is very valuable, I have advised a lot of our customers to actually turn it off during the day and then turn it back on during at night. To get into a routine, it usually takes about 2 weeks. I've done this before for myself, is actually put a reminder in my calendar to remind me 6 o'clock in the morning when I wake up to turn the alert off. And then when I leave for the day, whether it's about 5, 6 o'clock at night, it's going to remind me again to turn the alert back on. Again, might set this for 2 weeks, might set for a month, just get you in a routine. So with that being said, obviously we will want to have the ability in the future, and we are working on the ability in the future to have that customization so you can set timeframes. So that is to come. We do understand that. We understand it is important. So I do know that there will be questions surrounding around that, but I just want to address those. Along with that, that was pretty much what I've had just as a presentation wise. I know we've got about an hour. I wanted to try and keep this at about 30 minutes. So the last little bit of what is planned and to come. So if you can actually see, I had some information here just with idling I wanted to touch on. I didn't actually hit on it, but this is something that I'll just touch on right now since I have it up here. But idling just in general is actually very important. It can actually add up very quickly for cost per year. So being able to curb that idling, as you can see, this is based on number of vehicles for 1.5 hours a day idling on average. We're using at 450 cost a gallon about average. And this is actually, as you can see, of what that would cost you if that stayed true for an entire year. So really viewing idling is a really hot topic. So clearly having that new feature added into our account, being able to monitor that, being able to help enforce, reduce that with your company is going to save you obviously exponentially in the long run. But to come for our work in progress, as you can see on this right now, this actually comes straight from our product manager. So right now in our current platform, we have about 5,000 trouble codes for any DTC's information. So diagnostic trouble codes, if you don't know that acronym. We're actually going to be increasing that to 30,000, just a little bit over. So this is going to hopefully give a lot more granular information if something is wrong with the truck, something specific goes wrong. So you might have seen them before. When you're in the account, DTC pops up, gives you a nice little code like P1057. Hopefully we're going to have a lot more information to be able to get more granular. So that way it can help you with your maintenance, obviously better fleet efficiency, which was what I was trying to say. Another big thing we've been working on is J1939, the ability to not only attract, but support heavy duty vehicles. So international Peterbilt, Freightliner, things of that nature. That's what we're working on at this point. We're looking to release that roughly in April. So we're really excited for that. As Deanna said, the idle alerts I had asked, we are looking to have some sort of push notification at very least with not only idle, but then the maintenance side of things. So I'll definitely wanted to touch on that. But we're really excited for the push notifications, at least for idling. So that way it's real time tracking. So if you have a vehicle sitting out there idling for X amount of minutes, you want to be alerted at X amount of time, we're going to have that capability. So we're really looking forward to that. We also have soon thereafter crash detection. So along with crash detection, those alerts will be going out. We're hoping to release that in May. And the one feature that has been probably most requested, we are working on a homegrown solution for dual facing cameras. Right now, we have a projected release in Q4, about early Q4. And I know a lot of our customers have been really hoping for that to come. So we're really focusing hard on all of these. These are clearly not easy lifts. So we do ask you to be patient with us. We are working very hard for you all. We want you to be successful as much as we want to be successful. So with that being said, touching on, I can go to more of a little bit of a Q&A. If you would like, you're more than welcome to contact me directly. I can definitely set some things up if you would like for a one-on-one personally. But I do see just in the chat here, Kelly says, are the DTC alerts supposed to send the actual code to the app, or do we still need to plug into the OBD with the code reader? So it's a great question. Personally, the device itself should be giving you the code. So the difficult part with the actual code is we're getting what the vehicle is sending. Now, not all manufacturers are the same. So this is the reason why we're trying to get a much larger library of diagnostic trouble codes. So that way it can actually be OEM specific. So for instance, the device itself, I'll use my vehicle as a great example. I have a 2015 Toyota Tundra, and my vehicle is actually triggering a fuel vapor leak. Now, it specifically actually gave me the correct code. So I didn't have to worry that I had to plug into the actual OBD port of the vehicle. However, because mechanics do have specific OEM readers, it is definitely recommended that you still have them plug into it. However, is it needed? Again, that's up to you. I definitely don't want to say yes or no. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. I myself would do that with my own vehicle. I am aware that taking my vehicle into the service, lovely Toyota always says, hey, you have issues. You should probably unhook your GPS. I can advise on how to best handle that. But long story short, you don't necessarily need to know. So the accuracy of those DTC codes are very accurate. We're trying to get even more accurate, obviously, with the larger library. So it's a great question. And I'm sorry, is there a way to see the DTC codes in the app? So I believe if I remember correctly, there are actual alerts for the DTCs with, and I might be mistaken. I don't think it actually shows you the actual code. I will have to double check on that. So Drew, thanks for definitely letting me know. Right now, I am aware, at least within the desktop, the idea of the desktop is to have much granular information. The idea with the actual mobile app, the mobile app is supposed to be more of a summary view. So that way, if you see something go off, you want to then jump onto the computer, get more detailed information. So hopefully I answered that in its entirety. Does Force work with Service Line? If so, what are the functions? We don't work with Service Line. I do know we are working with several FSMs, and if I apologize, Jason, if I'm not aware of Service Line, so I apologize. I don't know if that's a specific FSM, because much like we have partnerships with House Call Pro, we are looking at increasing that with other partnerships with other FSMs. So that is definitely something we can take into account. And I believe we are working on a few. I don't want to say the incorrect names of the ones that we are working on. So I can definitely look into that and get back to you and let you know specifically if we're working with Service Line. Absolutely. I will send everyone a copy of this recording. I've already actually taken a screenshot of everyone. So that way, there you go. Now I know exactly who to actually send it out to. But yes, I'd be more than happy to send you all of this and get you House Call Pro. Yes, thank you, Douglas. House Call Pro is great. It does integrate with our software. That's actually one of our main partners that we do work with. So the advantages of actually the integration we have is the On My Way feature. So actually just touching that, I'll actually go back here fairly quickly. If you can actually see my screen, let me know if you don't. And thank you for the others chiming in there saying how great of an integration we have with House Call Pro. So House Call Pro, right now, they leverage our information we actually send to them. So they hold the ownership of most of the integrations. And what I mean by that is when in our system, the reason why they really enjoyed us is if I have a service tech that I want to go to a specific customer, we can send them actually a specific link that shares the location of the vehicle. Now I can set this time frame. It defaults, I believe, to 2-hour time frame. So if you only want to be at 30 minutes, an hour, so on and so forth, it actually creates a specific link that you can send to the customer. So that way they know where the tech is. When they're on their way, you can give them an idea of how long it's going to take to get to them. But this just gives granular information for the customer. For instance, out here, Cox Communications is our internet provider. I always love, and you probably always have heard this or have had to do this before, but hey, we'll have a tech out there between 12 o'clock and 5 o'clock. Not the greatest. Obviously, there's a lot of things that I can do within 5 hours. So this just gives a little bit more detailed view of where a vehicle is, where your tech is. Again, I'll leave it up to you, but that's the association at first that they have, is the ability to pull this sharing link. So for customers within House Call Pro, they can actually send a text message. So when the tech is done and on the way to the next call, that's going to automatically reach out to the customer. Again, I can't go into too much detail because I don't have any access into House Call Pro. So I would highly recommend contacting their team to get more specific information. I can definitely help with getting that. Let them know that you are interested. So definitely reach out to me. But I would highly recommend to go to them. They're going to be the best personnel to actually address your questions with the actual House Call Pro integration. Anyone else? It was an absolute pleasure today, since I haven't seen any other questions come through. But again, this is the very first webinar that we wanted to display and add on and present for. There will probably be many more to come. I'll get a little bit more refined. So I do apologize for the small things here. But any questions, concerns, issues, please definitely reach out to me. You can reach out to our customer success team. We did hire another customer service manager. So please, excuse me, I said customer service. I meant customer success. Please reach out to us. Anything that you have issues with, we want to be your first level of support. We want to help you. Again, I will always stand behind this. If I don't know the answer, I will work as hard as I can to get you the answer. But more importantly, I want you all to be successful. That's, I think, the number one thing. If you're successful, we're going to be successful. So again, it was my pleasure to present to you all. Please definitely reach out to me if you have any further questions, if you'd like a one-on-one. I would like to obviously get to know you all, better understand your industry, the things that is most important to your fleet, and definitely go from there. So thank you again for your time. I wish you all the best, and I will definitely be looking forward to future presentations.